Everybody, probably in
Hello.
2015, there will be cars that are completely automated, completely connected. These cars know everything about their owner's personal life, even their secret lives, their preferences, their likings, dislikings, and so on and so forth. And that'll be probably a perfect utopia for the car manufacturers and car owners. However, this will also create a very interesting playground for hackers, sometimes curious and sometimes malicious. And when these hackers are able to get into these cars that are connected, that are completely automated, that can create a havoc. And that's the reason we have Luchs Security in our portfolio. That's the reason that we are hosting this panel on automotive security today with extremely intelligent, diverse panelists, and obviously Luchs Security. This is Pankaj Gupta from EthAum Venture Partners. We are a deep tech accelerator and fund based out of Singapore with approximately 90 startups in our portfolio. These are AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, robotics, AR, VR kind of startups from different parts of the world, stages, sectors, including automotive. And Luchs Security is one of the startups that we onboarded in January 2023, which completely focuses on making our future cars extremely secure and safe. Let's start with a brief introduction of Luchs Security with Alon, and then we'll dive into the introduction of our panelists, and then we'll get into the panel Q&A. Alon, please give us a brief 30 seconds intro of Luchs.
Hello, guys. Thank you, Pankaj, for organizing this. It's an amazing panel, amazing people. My name is Alon Shalev. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Luchs Security. Basically, we noticed in the last few years that the automotive industry does not really care about cybersecurity, especially when it comes that they need to spend money for cybersecurity. And that's why a lot of our cars don't have firewalls, do not have antiviruses, don't have any kind of cybersecurity solutions. Our solution basically helps the developers that create our cars just develop a safer car that will find all the security loopholes a lot earlier than the car even hits the road. But I'll be happy to explain more in the future about it.
Thanks a lot, Alon, for this brief but interesting overview of Luchs Security. Dr. Hassan, are you ready with your introduction?
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you so much for having me in the panel. My name is Hassan Akram. I'm the founder and CEO of Matrix. Matrix operates in the automotive domain and specializes in safety and security. So the motto of our company is we want to make autonomous vehicles safe and secured.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Dr. Hassan. Really appreciate you joining us today. Michael?
Yes, thank you very much, Gupta, for having me on that panel. I'm Michael Kuhl. I'm the Chief Success Officer of EasyGrimX and also co-owner of the EasyGrimX ADA in Germany. And we are helping value chain within the automotive sector by achieving the standard that is now required of the supply chain to provide a TSAX label. And we are helping to achieve this in order to make the whole value chain of the automotive industry more secure.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Really appreciate it. Rahul?
Yes, hello, everybody. And thank you, Pankaj, for having me on this panel. I think this is an interesting opportunity. So my name is Rahul Agarwal. I am the AVP and the business leader for the powertrain domain. I work with KPIT. I'm based out of Munich. And KPIT as a company, we of course help almost all OEMs and tier ones in the embedded software space. So I'm interested to contribute in this panel and also hear what Luchs has to offer.
Awesome, thanks a lot, Rahul. Gilad?
Yeah, I'm Gilad Zlotkin, founder and CEO of OVO Automotive. OVO provide an in-car application SaaS platform, streaming application directly from the cloud to the vehicle for many different reasons. One of the key reasons is security, okay? And I'm based out of Israel. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks a lot, Gilad. Really appreciate your presence today. Alon, I think you have a huge responsibility on your shoulders today, considering we have such an extremely diverse and intelligent panel. Please take out your interesting burning questions and let's go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you, Pankaj. Well, in our point of view as entrepreneurs in the automotive industry, there are many challenges and many aspects of our business. I would like to see, or I'd like to ask your perspective on certain topics. And I would like to ask the first question. As automotive leaders, what is your biggest frustration with the policy makers or the ecosystem? Gilad, would you like to start?
Gilad?
You want me to start?
Yes,
Well,
please.
unfortunately, sales cycles are extremely long in the automotive industry. I assume everybody is aware of that, specifically for in-vehicle technology, okay? Decision needs to go very high in the organization. The only positive point about it that I can imagine that my competition will have even a harder sales cycle try to replace us, okay? But sales cycle is certainly the biggest frustration for us. Me coming from the IT enterprise market, it's a huge, huge gap. And we are still struggling with that.
Right, interesting. Dr. Hassan?
So it's an interesting question, first of all. I think the frustration is the automotive industry, the automotive software industry especially, started with people who were not software engineers or computer scientists. And they wrote that when they wrote their first line of code, the first function, probably that was the only function and they had the entire computation time for themselves. And it became more and more complex. According to a statistic, I think the number of codes in automotive industry is right after Google. I mean, we have more number of codes than space shuttle. Now, the complexity grew in a way, but the mindset still remains. It's an automotive mindset. We couldn't move to software mindset. We're actually building software on wheels. This is the mindset that we couldn't have the shift so far. And that is something frustrating.
All right, Michael?
Yes, well, I'm coming out of the area, like I said, from the supply chain. And if we are looking into a car that now contains a lot of parts that are developed by other companies, so the insufficient cooperation, the inadequate cooperation between various stakeholders, including the OEMs, the suppliers, regulating bodies, policymakers, the disjoint of their communication is my biggest frustration, because the regulations are there, but not everybody puts the regulations into their own thinking, and doesn't apply it to the products that they are actually delivered, and then the OEMs are putting them together, and this is. Like I said, a big frustration from my side. So I would hope that the regulators will come up with standards that everybody has to follow and everybody in the ecosystem can follow up then.
Raul, thank you for your insight. Raul?
Yes. I think great views from everybody, and a mix of all, to be honest. But one of the biggest things that we see in the automotive industry today is the lack of awareness. I mean, cybersecurity is such an extremely misinterpreted area, right? What happened to functional safety about 10 years back is what is happening to cybersecurity today. That everybody thinks of it differently. Of course, because it's misinterpreted, the sales cycles become difficult. The budgeting is very difficult. Not everybody at all levels understand what it really means. And you do not start the designs keeping cybersecurity in your mind. The culture in the company is not really compliant or not really towards that. So all these things really add up and become so difficult. And now with regulations really popping into the eye and enforcing the hands of the OEMs, I think it's becoming even more difficult because everybody's trying to play the catch-up game. Hopefully, with the new SDV wave that is going on, with this zonal architecture that is coming in, things are kind of improving, but still struggling. I think this is a big problem.
So it's very interesting to hear different problems from different perspectives, from companies that give services, to companies that create solutions, and to companies startup like ours that are selling their solution. Everyone has their own challenge, but at the end of the day, we're speaking about long sales cycle and policies in those companies. So it's very interesting to see, because we see the same act. My next question, Raul, if you don't mind starting, if you had one superpower in the world, only one, to bring positive change to the industry, what change would you bring?
Very interesting. I think, as I just said, I mean, bringing that culture, bringing that thought process right from grounds up, right from the lowest level of engineer to the CEO, everybody, that cybersecurity or security comes first in your mind. If we can bring that training, that awareness, that culture, trust me, everything falls in place automatically. So that, if I had power, then I would do that first.
So knowledge sharing.
Knowledge sharing and just awareness, I would say. Bringing that awareness.
Interesting. Michael?
Yes, I would say trust. If I could bring trust into the value chain so that everybody accepts that everybody just wants to try to do the best in order to get a good product for the end consumers in the market, I would like to put trust in that whole thinking of the people, because that's what we would need in order to overcome the cybersecurity challenges, is that we are trusting each other. And then obviously with trust comes communication.
All right, interesting. Dr. Hassan?
Yeah, so traditionally, we have seen in almost all industries, the technology moves much faster than security or even safety. I mean, it could be social media. We have seen, all the functionalities of social media really moving fast, and then we have Cambridge Analytica and all those, and all of a sudden, hey, we need to make it more secure. Now, automotive industry, if the same thing happens, we will not be losing our data like Cambridge Analytica and many other things. We'll be actually losing lives. So this is, I don't think I need a superpower. This has to happen anyway. This is for the first time in history. Security and safety is going to be the enabler of a revolutionary technology like autonomous vehicle. So if I had a superpower, I would definitely impose it. But I think the way the industry is moving, it has to happen. We have to make it safe and secure, and only then we will have trust and public confidence in autonomous vehicle, and we'll be able to enable it.
All right, interesting. Gilad?
Well, I'm in the infotainment space, and I think we need to fix a misconception or a mindset. And basically, we need to understand that cars are not cell phones. And I think there is a misconception by adopting automotive Android and adopting a cell phone-like technology into the infotainment system. I think this is a mindset that the industry will need to change, because I cannot imagine that drivers will just install embedded apps from app stores, arbitrary applications like they are doing on phones, because it's a security nightmare. It's already a security nightmare for phones, and this security nightmare for cars will translate to a safety nightmare, which the industry cannot afford. And I think this is a huge mindset. It's very tempting to adopt a successful technology from cell phones. Why not? Even the end user is expecting this fancy touchscreen-based user interface, which I also believe it's not the right user interface for a driving person. Maybe while parking, it's fine. Maybe while autopilot is fine, but it's certainly not the right user interface for a driver, an active driver. But put that inside, just the belief that we can install embedded application onto the car from App Store, like we are doing with phones. This is a wrong approach, and reality will show that the security implication is unmanageable, and this is exactly what OVO is trying to help with our application streaming approach. Okay.
Very interesting. It's amazing that everyone here is relating cyber and security together. And I agree with what Dr. Hassan meant, that cyber is the new security. We can sum it by that. Well, my next question, Michael, how important, in your point of view, is the role of startups or new technologies, such as AI, machine learning, or blockchain, or data science, will play in the space in the future?
Well, as you mentioned beforehand, as we are facing a revolution, or Dr. Hassan mentioned that beforehand, we are open up the cars of being now self-driving vehicles with more assistant systems. Coming from the engineering background in the car manufacturer industry, these are engineers, right? And now we are looking into software development. So we need new blood, we need new way of thinking within that industry. I don't see the future so dark, to be honest. If these are self-driving cars and the entertainment and all these app downloads, what happens? We might have a secure car that will drive us from A to B. And yes, we're going to have the entertainment, as we saw in China already in the Chinese show. It's all about entertainment. Did somebody ask for that? I don't know. I would like to drive a car. But yes, we will move into autonomous driving. So from that point of view, I believe we need new companies that help us understanding what we do with our new free time, sitting in the car, actually. And if I would have a wish, I would see enhancing the supply chain security by blockchain technology. So that the whole supply chain is be able to be measured and is reliable on what they deliver, and have a system of control in place in all parts and all software that is produced that are sitting in the car, that it could be controlled.
All right, interesting. Raul?
Yeah, I mean, goes without saying, of course, the technology has to catch up. AI, machine learning, even blockchain for that matter. I mean, I'm personally quite confident that blockchain will play a big role in the automotive industry, even in the in-car software. We are doing some research on that. Hopefully, let's see what comes out. But I am personally very confident that I mean, all these new technologies are very important, and machine learning or artificial intelligence, for sure. I mean, in cybersecurity, it already plays a big role in terms of vulnerability detection. Right, you need a huge database, and you need to find patterns, and the algorithms have to learn by themselves. So naturally, it's already in there, right? But the technology is really up there already.
Interesting. Gilad?
Yeah, I'm also looking on it from a customer experience, from user experience standpoint. And I believe that in modern vehicle, in-car services should proactively offer the right service at the right time. It's more should be push rather than pull, okay? Specifically when the driver is actually driving, but this is also true for autopilot, and that's where AI has an important role. With regard to charging, parking, predicting maintenance, driving safely, the car should know which service to offer at the right time. Okay, it's not a phone. Again, the phone doesn't try to predict what you need. You proactively ask it. Okay, but the car should offer its services in a context-based, proactive way. I think that's what the user expects, and that's what we should deliver.
All right, thank you for your insights. Dr. Hassan?
So thank you. I want to allow me to comment a little bit on the remark from Gilad. I find it really interesting, the remark in the last question, And I totally agree with Gilad that, automotive software should not be treated as an app store. That this is the ideal case. This is going to be a security nightmare. And this should not happen. But here's the thing. In reality, what matters in terms of security plays a secondary or even a tertiary role. What matters is what brings money, what brings convenience. So Gilad, like it or not, I would love to have a world where it doesn't happen, but it is going to happen because the economics and the convenience is going to take over, and we're seeing more and more that tendency. So the question is, the question is, how can we live in that complex environment, which is the security nightmare, and still provide some safety and security? That's number one. And coming to the technologies that the current question in hand, the technologies that we talked about, blockchain, AI, and all those. At one point, everything will converge. Like it was rightly mentioned that so the supply chain could be trailed by a blockchain and many other things, blockchain technology. This is going to happen, and this is going to have an enormous positive impact in terms of safety, security, and usability. At the same time, bring such challenges that we've never seen before, that like the one Gilad mentioned, it's going to be a nightmare in terms of security, and we'll be treating car software as apps.
That's why I think we should be focusing on services rather than apps, okay? And those services should be delivered from the cloud instead of being embedded as software inside the vehicle, okay? And those services should be offered on a context-based driven when needed. It's not when you upload an app on your phone, so you have in mind a specific need and you activate that need wherever you want it. I don't think this is the right approach for cars, okay? The service platform that serves the driver should proactively predict the need. They should know that you should charge your car somewhere in the next 50 miles, and they should offer you a service, a charging service that is along the way, okay? It's not that you will activate a charging management application proactively, okay? I think the whole concept of embedded apps should be abandoned for cars. It's very right for phones. I have hundreds of apps on my phone. I will have few services on my car, and different services depends on the context, depends on where I'm driving, who I am, and I think this is the challenge. Okay.
I think this is a very interesting conversation, and I can already see emotions on the faces. Hey, I'm not one of the panelists, but I really believe that there'll be times when car companies, automotive companies, and phone companies will be fighting for your data. And that's when it becomes really interesting to see what kind of features, what kind of applications get embedded into the cars. And I think that is going to happen. It is inevitable. But yeah, I think that's still probably 10 years out from today. But yeah, that's going to happen.
And with regard to monetization, Hassan, of course, you can monetize services the same way you monetize an application. It's the same from a monetization standpoint. It's the same vehicle. You know,
Yeah,
you are exposed. Yeah.
But Gilad, I mean, I agree, I understand. I mean, but not all applications in car or not all services in car can be run purely from cloud. Of course, the cloud can push. Yeah, of course, the cloud can push, but you need local instances and local.
Of course. So I have a distinction between two types of applications.
Mm-hmm.
Applications that are dependent on connectivity,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and mission critical applications that need to be active even when you don't have connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
So applications that are mission critical, that are not dependent on connectivity, need to be embedded, of course.
Yeah. No,
But applications that are dependent on connectivity should not be embedded. They should be provided as service from the cloud because you are dependent on connectivity. Okay?
No, I mean, so what I meant was the prompt for such service, of course, should be contextually, proactively provided to you. That I agree. But once you provided the prompt, and then for that application to take execution, go into execution, you may, or most often you need some local execution, right? Which basically means downloading that application and installing that application on the local operating system, on the router or whatever, and then running the instance.
Of course. Yeah. Some application, if it's an autopilot application, of course it needs to be embedded. But if it's an application that helps you to find a charging location, it should not be embedded.
Not necessarily, of course. Yeah. It's
and
going
there are many applications like that should not be embedded, that OEMs are insisting to embed them and pay all the security hassle, okay, to deal with an embedded software that should not be embedded.
Mm-hmm.
But regarding the security issues of all these applications or services, it just says that we're moving around the problem from one area to a different area. So there are challenges in both areas. Challenges of having embedded applications that are born with the car, if you say, that usually are there for 20 years if there's no over-the-air update. But once you provide updated services, the security shifts to the other side, to how do I secure the communication, or how do I secure the functionality?
Again, there are two groups of application: embedded application and not embedded application. Of course, embedded application need to be over-the-air updated, but services that are providing from the cloud, you don't need to do over-the-air updates for them. You just update them in the cloud. Okay?
Yes, I agree. But having said that, the update needs to make sure that the car is connected. And once a car is connected 100% of the time, it's a security risk by itself.
I agree that over-the-air update, it's a huge security challenge, huge. Okay?
Yeah. But if you don't mind,
which is another reason to limit the number of embedded applications to start with.
So, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, the over-the-air update is in a way a solution to, this is how you will be sending out security patches. You need that in order to keep it secure. At the same time, this is the most vulnerable spot.
Not the most, but a big security, a big attack surface. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can already see how we can upload our own malware.
I'll tell you, it's not the biggest. It's not the biggest because you can control. Apparently you can accept over-the-air updates for a single IP address. The manufacturer IP address. You shouldn't talk about over-the-air update with any other IP address, okay? While other application, navigation application, music application, they each talk with different IP addresses, so the attack vector is bigger, okay? So it's not the biggest problem, but it is a problem.
But I believe we should look into who makes the decision at the end of the day, right? For me, a lot of the application that needs connectivity will be done by the marketing department or by the sales department who wants to sell the car, right? And they are hardly listen to the engineers that are saying, well, you know, why do we need to offer that functionality to the customer and so on?
Well,
you know,
Michael,
and the marketing will say, well, because we can sell cars.
You are looking only on the consumer market, but I'm looking on the mobility market. So imagine car sharing companies, rental companies, each wants to have a different user experience that is customized, that is branded, okay? And a big rental company, a big car sharing company and leasing company, they would like to control what application are running inside their vehicle. And we need to provide an answer to that. It's not only the car maker makes a decision about what is running inside the vehicle.
Absolutely.
Not anymore,
Absolutely.
okay?
Not anymore, because what might happen is the car manufacturers, as Gilad said, they can become commoditized. Like the people who makes the cell phone, they have absolutely no value. They're not providing any value. They're just commodity. They're providing hardware. So car manufacturers will be the hardware provider, and the companies like Waymo's and many other companies who are coming up with the software that runs the fleet would be one of the parties, and then the fleet managing companies, fleet companies. So there will be many other players in the supply chain as compared to we have it today.
I can share with you without talking specifically about customer, but a very big rental company, okay, that we are talking with. So when they are buying a Toyota or a Skoda, okay, when their customer is stepping into the car and start the car, they want their own logo to be on the screen rather than the Toyota logo or the Skoda logo, okay? And Skoda say, well, this is a security problem. We cannot allow you to do that, okay? Well, maybe security here is just an excuse, okay? Maybe there are ways that will allow those big OEM customers, big fleet customer, to brand and customize user experience inside their vehicles. And the OEMs that will allow that will get an unfair competitive advantage for those fleet customers, for those OEMs that say, no, this is a security problem, we cannot allow it, okay?
Yeah, I mean,
That's a very interesting point of view.
How logo is a security problem, this is hard to understand, though.
So the way we are approaching it, we say, yes, you're right, OEM are right when they are talking about the security problem of embedded software. Of course, you cannot imagine anybody installing an embedded software that did not pass the OEM certification, security certification with Alon services, etc. But all customization of the user experience can be done from the cloud. It doesn't necessarily need to change any embedded line of code.
But for that, there is a new regulation that's speaking about over-the-air update security. That needs to
again, it doesn't need to do over-the-air update. Over-the-air update is just for embedded software, okay? And we say no embedded software. Of course, embedded software is something that OEM need to certify. But fleet customers should have the ability to customize and brand a user experience inside their vehicles.
Is there enough standardization, according to you, Gilad, that a so-called web application or whatever, the cloud application will run on any platform made by Stellantis and platform made by BMW and platform made by the Volkswagen Group?
No, web applications are extremely unsecure.
Yeah, no, so that's why I said, cloud application. I corrected myself.
We are not providing cloud application. We are streaming application.
Mhm.
We are streaming it as Netflix is streaming films. Okay, we are streaming the application.
Okay.
So it cannot touch anything inside the car. It's just an image on the screen.
Fair enough, but is there a standardization to allow the local software to receive such kind of a stream and
Of
use
course.
a
You need to
standardization for that?
install. Yes, you need to install a client. You
Mhm.
need to install a client onto the infotainment system, and this client will need to go through all the certification process. But once this client is there, now you can stream any application without requiring to certify those other applications because they are not running inside the vehicle; they are running on the cloud.
Hmm.
So when
Interesting.
a big fleet customer buy cars from OEM, they would insist that you will have this capability inside the vehicle to receive those streamed applications from the outside.
Makes sense.
So as far as I understand, we are moving into the Android iPhone scenario.
Correct.
Some OEMs might follow the closed approach where they control everything as well as the services as well and providing these kind of services, and the others will be more open to accommodate these big fleet customers that allow the customization.
So I believe
That's a very
that
interesting thought.
I believe that use the Android phone App Store approach for embedded apps will not fly in the automotive space due to security and safety reasons. Okay, and I agree. Some OEMs with a big push by Google believe that they can support an App Store like cell phones does. Okay. But
not for
Alon
applications
will
created
tell you how complicated it is to certify embedded software nowadays with the new regulation coming up. It's not like certifying an iPhone or Android cell phone application. It's a different game.
Yes, I agree about that. And I guess that will take us to the next question that I guess will be a very related question. But basically, what is the biggest challenges in adopting innovative solutions in the industry?
I want to be the first and very short.
Start with it because it's your area.
Well, the obstacle is security and safety. That's the biggest obstacle, and it will always be. That again, what can happen on your phone? Your privacy may be violated, but in the car, your health may be in danger. Okay, your health and other people's health may be in danger because of security issues. This is why it's a total different game.
So, what is the biggest challenge that you see that you think that the automotive industry will not adapt it because they do not understand the challenges?
No. Reality will make everybody understand those challenges eventually. Okay, it's just a matter if you can foresee it up front. Okay, reality is a very strong force here.
But foreseeing the fault is the biggest challenge, according to me, because this is where, as I said, I mean, the lack of awareness, lack of understanding of the entire impact, right? And at all levels. I mean, the sponsor of the program has to pay in for that whatever technology that you bring in, and ability to understand what happens if you don't pay the right attention at the right time. That is where I think you're right about saying that reality will make them force their hands.
Yeah, recall cost, the cost of recall.
It may be too late. Yeah, exactly. Until the reality hits, it may be too late. So foreseeing that situation, and at all levels, I think this is going to be very, very difficult. People are going to make money out of it. People are going to be skeptical about it. Everything is going to happen and is happening as already.
Well, I see privacy and ethical concerns if we are using that new technology and we are producing a lot of data and we're putting this data over data analytics into the cloud. And the car is just one part. You know, if you imagine smart cities, the data that will be generated there, you know, with smart traffic lights, with all the other things that a car will communicate, even with pedestrians, with bicycle drivers and whatsoever, the amount of data that is created and shared may be for analysis purposes. So I see privacy and ethical concerns being a topic there as well, and should force the regulator to have a robust governance framework in place in order to deal with that.
Yeah, my only issue with regarding privacy, of course, the vehicle need to deal with the privacy, but also cell phone, okay? And cell phone can violate your privacy, and vehicle can violate your privacy, and the same type of solution can be applicable in both cases. Okay?
I agree with you 100%, Gilad, what you said. I mean, whenever we talk about automotive privacy, say, hey, we will be, this is like wherever I'll go, I'll give away my location data. This is going to create a privacy nightmare. I asked them one simple question. Whenever you go somewhere, you carry your cell phone and you're already giving out your location data, including how many times you visit the restroom. Your car is not going to take more data. So that's that's number one. And the second thing is like I would reiterate the way Gilad started and saying that safety and security is the number one challenge. I 100% agree with it. The only problem is, like I said, like you said, reality will teach us. The only problem is when we learn from reality in other domains, we lost our money, privacy, many other things. But here, a car can be weaponized. It can kill you. So if we wait till reality hits, we're going to be making a big mistake. We have to think about safety and security now and enable the technology, making sure we have sufficient safety and security embedded in it.
I fully agree. I fully agree. But see what happens. Google comes to all OEMs, offering them a very shiny cell phone technology, okay, which is very tempting to embed them into vehicles. And we say, well, it works. It works very nicely for billions of phones so far, and we are doing this adaptation for automotive, but more or less it will be the same technology that we applied for a cell phone. And you know, Google invested a lot in securing Android for cell phones, but it's not relevant for cars. Absolutely not. It's not sufficient for cars. Those measures of security that Google developed for phones.
Yeah, it's just not applicable. You know, it's a whole different architecture. Vehicle architecture, automotive vehicle architecture is a whole different beast altogether. You know, it's the same problem coming again and again, the old problem that we've seen, but in a very different context. I mean, let's take the CAN bus, for example. When CAN bus was invented, nobody thought about security. Security was not a thing, right? So it's a whole different thing that we're dealing with compared to Android and every other technology we've seen so far.
Well, I think one of the issues that the OEM needs to bridge the software gap. Okay, they understand that they need to be innovative on the software side, and this is a huge gap for them to bridge. And it's easy for a vendor like Google to basically try to give them what they need, okay? Instead of them need to reinvent everything like Tesla does, you know? Tesla wrote the entire operating system from scratch, and Google cannot get into the Tesla car. You cannot even connect your Android phone to a Tesla car, okay?
Right, interesting. It looks like everyone has their own pains again in the industry. And thank you very much for your thoughts. It's very interesting to see different pains from different angles, because again, all the panelists here are looking at the automotive industry from a totally different area. I think we just don't have a person that represents the OEMs, but we have service provider, we have a startup that's creating hardware that goes into the car, we have a tier one that's creating a train, and we have another company that offers different types of services. So everyone has their own challenges here, and it's amazing to hear that all these challenges come to be the same challenges that we have together. But amazing. I would like to move to the second part of this panel, if you don't mind. I would like to share our thesis of what we're doing. And of course, I will even more to hear why the solution does not have a right to exist. I would like to hear the roasting part. We love the roasting part, honestly. So I'll be sharing my screen in a moment.
So just to add a bit of color, obviously we have automotive security experts on this panel. And if we are not able to get a brutal, honest feedback on the solution, on the competitive landscape, then I think we would be doing injustice to this event today. And that's why Alon will be sharing a brief about Luchs Security solution. And then obviously we would request you to provide your feedback, your comments on what could be the challenges going ahead with Luchs and what could be the right strategies. Alon, please go ahead.
Right, thank you very much, Pankaj. So we're Luchs Security. We're creating an automotive security testing suite, but not only for the automotive industry. All of us in this panel can agree that before the ISO 21434, there was no true security standard. Basically, each tier one or OEM met security standards the way that they thought was right. All that changed when the SAE released its new standard that basically dictates what needs to be done for each one of the components, not just one that they want to do. But there are many challenges of performing the security testing for each ECU or infotainment devices. First of all, there's a lack of qualified manpower. The people that can actually know how to speak CAN bus or how to speak to an embedded device is very low compared to the amount of devices that are being released every day. The procedure itself is 100% manual, cannot be scaled. And on each bug that is reported by the security tester, there's a very high cost to fix it. And put on top of all that headache, once the regulator came in place and said to the OEMs, in order to sell cars, you must go for security testing, that became a nightmare for the automotive industry. So basically the new regulation, the R155 that had inside the ISO 21434, basically dictates quite a lot of stuff. Our company is focusing just on the right side of the V model, all the activities. There are many companies that are dealing with the CSMS. Our solution, in our point of view, is very simple. We created a free, fully automated security test engine that check each one of the functionalities of the security issues of the ECUs. We create a fuzzer to test all the interfaces. We create a vulnerability scanner to extract all the security-related issues from the device. And we created a security test engine to imitate the penetration tester to come with a virtual finger to touch in different areas to see how he can bypass authentication, bypass secure boot, install his own firmware, or do different kind of good stuff. Our solution is 100% remotely. It allows the testing engineer to perform all the security tests without the understanding of anything about cybersecurity. He just connects the device to his computer like he does his functionality test and downloads our agent, clicks 2 buttons, and all the security runs on his computer. that's just about it. I'll be happy to hear the roasting. Gilad, you're on mute.
So one quick question along here.
Yeah,
Yeah, a question here. Your solution is per ECU?
Yes.
Per ECU, or it's a cross ECU security?
No, it's per ECU. It's to help the developers.
Okay.
Of course, we have a way that if you create your own platform that has a few different ECUs that are speaking between them, then you can get the whole security visibility of that platform. Of course, by focusing on each ECU.
And it's for AutoSAR ECUs or other type of software packages?
What do you mean? AutoSAR, it's only one.
Any type, yeah. Also AutoSAR, of course, yeah.
Okay. So there is a special ECUs in the vehicle, which is the infotainment system, okay? Which, unlike other ECUs, there is no single software configuration that you will find. Different cars will have a different embedded software configuration, depends on which applications are installed inside. And you cannot possibly predict or test in the lab before you release the vehicle all possible configuration of embedded software. That will be a huge challenge. Okay, and we agree that not all services can be provided from the cloud. There must be services that are embedded, and over-the-air update will provide you new services along the way, and different vehicles will have different combination of embedded software components. And each combination requires a security validation from scratch, okay? Because every change means a potential security problem. Of course, your solution for single ECUs, I don't know how experienced you have with your solution on infotainment system, but I believe there should be something that need to address this variance,
I mean, this problem is not limited only to infotainment systems, Gilad, because with the new SDV or relative AutoSAR based ECUs coming in and service-oriented architecture coming in, of course, I mean the variants, the so-called variants and configurations are umpteen and unlimited in almost all ECUs, including the powertrain ECUs, which is probably the most rigid ECU that you should ideally find in a car.
So with all those over-the-air updates, okay, I believe that there are going to be an exponential combinations of embedded software components that may require some onboard security mechanism. Not everything can be covered by offline security solution like Alon is offering, okay?
But very important to mention, the ISO standard does not demand for you to install a runtime antivirus or runtime thing. It just demands that when you release the car, that same infotainment center has no known bugs and someone run fast test.
I understand, Alon, and you are providing a solution for this requirement, but this requirement is already obsolete in my mind. Okay.
Very important to mention that before this regulation, nothing was being done, or minimum.
Yes. This is a new regulation that is already outdated.
So, if I may ask, in terms of engineering the workflow. So let me simplify it a little bit. If you are thinking about security tests in a traditional sense, we design security test cases, then we execute them, and we have all the greens till we measure, and then we have penetration test, fuzz test on top of those, right? So can you explain to me, like, your system, does it go all the way to penetration test, fuzz testing, or is it like, test case definition and testing them? Where do you navigate in this testing testing space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can take it. So basically, the idea of our entire solution is a one-stop shop for entire security testing. So we don't see, we wouldn't say leave the penetration testing pre-SOP and or like the normal time when they do penetration testing. We say start your security testing based on fuzz testing, based on security test cases, as you mentioned. And based on our experience, which is out of the box security testing, which we usually do in penetration testing normally. And on top of all that, we have the vulnerability scanning, so which is basically firmware binary analysis. So all those together will bring you to a very, and think about that you do it during development life cycle. So every time you add a new feature, you can retest your ECU, and then you get, and then at the end, when you get to the pre-SOP, or if you want to sample C already, and there where you want to start do penetration testing, the interesting part that you will find is not the low-hanging fruits that you already covered during the development and with our solution. You will find the very, very interesting parts, like the penetration testing will give you the right reports. And the interesting part, you will not have like 20 weird findings, low-hanging fruits findings that usually you get on a penetration testing. And believe me, I've done this millions of times. You will get the essence, the very interesting parts of of penetration testing, and that's what penetration should be like, and not a very easy test that could have done during development and no one done it. That's why you get it as a findings by the end of the road.
Got it.
But how do you ensure that, Tom? What exactly?
Yeah.
What's the difference between Luchs solution for penetration testing versus say Mend or Cybellum?
Sorry, between us and now?
Or Argus or whatever, right? What exactly do you do differently to bring out that analytics, or only those unique test results which are not the most obvious ones?
That's a great question. So our approach is, if we speak about Cybellum or Argus, they are actually doing everything manually right now. They are mostly focused on integrating intrusion detection system without inside the car and stuff like that. That's not our area, or like not our. We speak about doing kind of a shift left to the V model.
Mm-hmm.
We do shift left of security to the V model itself. If you look at the V model, then you have then the only one that are actually touching the tip of the toe not only in the security requirements from the new regulation, it's also touching the tip of the toe of doing some kind of shift left is Cybellum, which they do vulnerability scanning. This is only one engine out of 3 engines that we offer for entire security testing platform. So the engine of doing every 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations of development. You do design, you develop. Today you develop with sprints. It's a bit more agile. Also, the automotive are there. It's the same idea, and they are going every sprint or every release or every minor release. You can do this testing, and not only the vulnerability scanning. You can do fuzz testing. If you added another component into your ECU, like a small component, like a tier 3 or tier 4, that puts some piece of software, I guess also from OVO. I guess they also put a bit of a piece of software inside all this, like will be probably tier 3 or 4 or something like that, or tier 3, I guess. Gilad, correct me if I'm wrong. And then all this piece of software will come into the device, and then you want to test everything together in one time. So every time you put all these small components, all these small piece of software within one ECU, you want to all the time test it instead, and then find as soon as possible if you have any security issue, or you want to have it, or you will do it only at the end of the cycle, and then you are kind of not too late, but it will just cost you a lot of money to go back and do a change request. So regarding your question, our entire approach is taking the whole security testing, not only one part of it or two parts of it. We take the whole security testing platform and integrate it very, very strong into the development lifecycle, with the integration to ALM, to doors, if you know, and to to Jira, to ticketing system. So you have also the full traceability. I guess the Dr. Hassan familiar with it. All this traceability from Tara, all the way from the Tara area, from the risk analysis to implementation, and also to test cases and testing of this implementation of security stuff. So this whole traceability, and at the end you need someone to test that someone actually did this implementation, and to test that the implementation is hard then enough. This is basically where we are coming from.
So basically what you're saying is that you would offer the complete CSMS as well, or is it only the...
No, we are only the activities part. We are concentrating on the activities part, but we do connect, we do the integration into the area of the CSMS part, because you need the traceability.
Yeah, absolutely.
The customers are asking, yes. The customer, they are asking for traceability, and this is what we do. We give them the traceability from the testing side. We connect to their Tara, cybersecurity goals and cybersecurity requirements, and the implementation and this all process of traceability.
And how do you ensure code protection in case, because you're doing everything on cloud? So how do you ensure that no IP is violated? Security.
So that's a good question. So our solution is a microservice solution and container based. It means we offer a SaaS solution, but we also have an offering of an on-prem solution, which you get a full Kubernetes orchestration that you can install it or basically deploy it on-prem. This is our
answer to that.
So basically, with all the TSACs, I guess I'm not sure if Michael is still here. Yeah, I think I heard him speaking about it. But all the TSACs area and all the regulation regarding the SaaS, software as a service, working with the software as a service, is fully covered on this on-prem right now.
Understood.
Okay. I think the question, independently of how you're doing offline testing, development and the life cycle of the product, is this sufficient, or there is also a need for real-time security measurement that runs inside the vehicle, like firewalls, etc. And personally, I believe that both approach are required.
Absolutely,
and it's not necessarily even competing with each other. You will need an offline testing and online monitoring.
Well, I always say that security is like an onion. You build it layers and layers and layers. So at the end, the attackers will have a very, very, very hard time. So as more layers as you have, they will have a very hard time to be able to penetrate, and that's the whole idea.
I fully agree.
Of course, everything that is possible to. I'm very, very long time in the automotive cybersecurity industry, very long time, and and I can see and everything what can be. It doesn't matter if this regulation is whatever, if it's outdated or not outdated. I completely happy that there is something like that suddenly in the market, and it was a big step for the automotive industry. First step, but a very big step. Yeah.
So what I like what I like about your solution is, you're talking about during the development life cycle, your solution will be saving money. And whenever we talk about our clients, there is always a question, hey, this is going to cost us more money. Now, so if I understood right, you have a bunch of standardized security tests that you can actually deploy from the very early stage of development.
Out of the box.
Out of the box. That is going to save you a lot of money. I actually like that approach. It's gonna be very useful in some of the development projects we do.
And not only, this is only one part of it. This security testing engine is also allowing you as a customer to add your own security testing and security test cases. So we have kind of a proprietary language that we developed that you can define security testing and onboard security testing of your own, which will play together with our and you know all the testing itself will be on the solution and presented in the dashboard and with the risk and everything, and you can see exactly how far you are with the testing phases or testing cycles and stuff like that. So it's also something that we are working on.
Do you integrate with any of the standard testing tools as well, or do you necessarily have to use the Luchs language to add new test cases?
No, so the test cases is just something that you can. So while you do an onboarding on a Luchs solution, you need to do onboarding for one component, for a specific component, ECU, and this onboarding process will lead you to a way to understand how the ECU functions. If it has physical, like it has a canvas on it, it has like CAN interface on it, or it has Ethernet to speak about infotainment system. If it has Wi-Fi or USB, and all those physical interfaces will allow us to have a coverage. Will allow us to increase the coverage of us doing testing within the specific ECU. So we don't need to. So we just allow you to create more test cases on top of our solution, on top of our out of the box. So we don't do any specific integration with any testing area, but we do have integration. Like our agent is able to integrate with testing instruments like or testing interfaces like Vector or CanPeak or stuff like that. This is basically, we are mostly speaking with the hardware testing areas, so we can have the access to these physical interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
It's I see your eyes. It's a completely different approach. It's a completely different approach than what everyone is usually doing in today in the automotive industry from security testing.
Finally, we are able to see Tom.
Yeah, I just noticed. I see everyone, and just suddenly I noticed that I'm not with the camera. So,
thank you.
Any more questions from you guys? I guess we are already much after the time, or we still?
No,
no,
we
are still good.
We still have 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
I forgot to introduce Tom's background before he joined. When Tom says about security for automotive and being a long time in the automotive industry, he was head of security testing at Volkswagen. So basically, the whole solution is to put Tom, as you see, he's not a small guy, but to put him in an automated box that each one of you can deploy a Tom if you need. Just call the company Tom in a box.
Well,
there are a lot of other people working on it. So.
Yes, Michael.
Sorry?
Yeah, for me, it's important that we get this documented and that we get clearly documented who is responsible for what at the end of the day. It's in the development, in the as well as in the testing, in the test results, and ensuring the quality, and obviously doing the change requests, so that this is proper documented, that a third party can review it and see. Make analysis and see, what are the open questions and conduct an audit, because that's more and more important. If the components are working together, that some third party has to review this with a free mindset for the development, all the needs, all the constraints that are, and just focusing on the identified risks and the measurements into meeting them. And that's very, very important, I think. So your solution, providing that kind of documentation, following the V model with the risk analysis and the TATRA, and you'll be creating a one-to-one relationship with that system that the developers have to follow, or the software developers, the engineers have to follow. That's a very good approach for me, I have to say.
Yep. that is completely our idea, and this is based on many audits that we already did as a project in previous project that I've specifically done in the past. And this is one of the main things that I saw that the auditor is actually looking for. That's why it was very, very important for me to trace back, to do the trace back and forth, all this traceability area, and I agree with you completely. You're absolutely right there.
So Tom, one question, where do you see challenges in terms of deploying or selling your technology? The reason I'm asking, it reminds me, a couple of years back, recent years, there was one issue, one particular company, one particular tier one did not want to do intensive security tests, because if they do the test and something comes out, they will have to take measures, and that is going to increase their cost. So
Yeah.
do you face such issues as well?
I would like to answer that. 1 second. I'll answer
the
funny answer, and then talk to the professional. So when we developed our solution, we found the way to find potential 0 days with one of our unique technologies. And when we showed it to one of the biggest tier ones in the world, he said, "Are you crazy? Why would I want to know about a 0 day? I'm not. You're giving me more work. Why would the hell I want to pay for that? I want to do what I need to do in order to sell cars, and in order to sell cars, I need to deal with the 1 day. That's what's written there, and that's what they want to do." Sorry, Tom. You should add to the more professional answer.
No, it's completely true in this area, because I think the regulation, like I said at the beginning, the regulation did very good for the automotive market. It's before that they didn't really. I mean, they cared about it, but they didn't do. We did a lot of penetration testing in Volkswagen, I can tell you, and we did a very interesting stuff in Volkswagen. But at the end, I didn't really see this commitment for everyone to really do something about the findings at the end. That was the most important part. But now with the regulation, they don't have any other choice. They must do it, and they will be audited about it. But to be honest, the crazy challenge, or the biggest challenge that I see in our solution right now, is to explain this approach that we are doing right now, right? This approach is completely different, but if you think about it, it's not completely different than the approach of just developing a normal web application, right? This entire DevSecOps area. If you think about DevSecOps, it's the same as development, security, and operation, right? So you want to deploy, you develop, you deploy, you develop, you deploy, and you need the security there in the middle. And this is something that is now coming in the last, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 years to the web application area, that you deploy very fast. Amazon, they deploy every two seconds, there is a new deployment. And you can see now with Tesla, for example, I own a Tesla, rather a new one. And I didn't have for a few minutes, for like a few weeks, I didn't have the parking assist, because they removed the ultrasound sensors, right? So why they removed the ultrasound sensors? Because they said that they are going to release to have a new software released in a few weeks that with the cameras, and the cameras will cover all the parking assist. And you are now for 2 weeks without parking assist. But 2 weeks after or 3 weeks after I received the software update, I just installed it like you install on your phone, and that's it. Now you have suddenly park assist. It's beeping you. My girlfriend needed this beeping around when she parks the car. So this is exactly the thing that I mean when you do this deployment, this DevSecOps, this deployment, very fast deployment of new features, of new capabilities in the car, and you just need to add the security inside this entire cycle of development. And I think this approach is now for the automotive will be the most challenging to explain, especially for embedded developers, if you think about it.
Yeah, because it changes their model, right? They don't sell cars. They need to take care of the cars after they sold it, because the software has to be updated, right? So they have to commit to a guarantee. What the regulation says is from the design towards the end of operation. So that means that could be 15 years, that could be 20 years, that they are responsible for keeping it
15
secure.
usually, yes.
Yeah. So that's a total, and it doesn't matter who owns the car, right? So you can buy the car and sell the car, and he sells the car and he sells it back whatsoever. It doesn't matter. The software has to function, and the OEMs need to be prepared for that. And I don't believe that they are at this moment in consequence to support the car over the next 20 years. It doesn't matter who the owner is, right?
Yeah.
That's not the price of the car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's they are calculating it now. There are some interesting customers that we speak with, and they are calculating this usually with 15 years. But it's very, it's that if you think about it, that's the V model. The V model is a V, right? It's not a cycle. It's just a V. You start, you design, you code, you test, you release. But where is the back? There is no coming back. And now they started, lately we were in Detroit in the SAE International conference in Detroit. It was 2 weeks ago. And they start speaking, they didn't say V model anymore. They started saying V cycle. And they call it now V cycle. This is now the new language. And the V cycle is more as we familiar with the SDLC, software development lifecycle, or just basically development lifecycle, right? This is exactly, or the DevOps cycle is also the same idea. So all this cycling is a bit more agile, and that's why, because it's a bit more agile, this is the area, and this is this transition between V model to cycle is,
Well, it has these little hooks, right? The V shape has these little hooks, and these little hooks describe the security by design, the security by implementation, and then obviously this little tiny thing means that they have to keep the updates. But
yes, of course,
it's an owner, right? At the moment, they have sold the cars to owners, but not anymore. Now they have sold the car. It doesn't matter who owns the car; they have to maintain it, And so that's the challenge, So every car will have a unique number as well, like an iPhone has whatsoever, and you'll be able to track it everywhere. It doesn't matter who owns the phone. It's the phone that you track at the end of the day. So that's a really, so you're not selling a car anymore, right? To somebody.
Absolutely. You are selling completely phone, I mean, if you know Herbert Diess, the CEO of Volkswagen before, the old one, the former one, he said that Volkswagen are not going to be any more a car manufacturer. It's a software manufacturer. Or it's a software company and not a manufacturer company.
It will be a mobility provider. Right? This is what we all want to move in with different areas, car being one of that. And it will be complex.
It will be, It is already. It is already good, very complex.
Right? This is how we all earn money. It's complex.
Exactly. Exactly, Well, you can see, I guess if Gilad is familiar with it also with the VWOS or the BMW that they're building their own operating system. And this is something that I guess goes more into this app store idea that you just download. Gilad, I guess you know about this area. So the VWOS or stuff like that, it's a whole, you just download from the App Store, you download some application. And this is something very, very interesting, because there you also need it's not only to speak about the owner and everything, it's also to make sure that third party software or software developers or companies are actually also securing. It's like in Google Play and App Store, in Google Play, you can release, I don't know if any of you wrote any application for Google Play or for App Store, but I have a few of them. And you can just go in and with Google Play, you can, it's very easy to release an app in Google Play, and it's very hard to release an app in App Store. So it depends how you play with it. It's
it's still, you know, I remember that when WhatsApp was used to penetrate iPhone, it was a big embarrassment. Okay, you know, Facebook is a very powerhouse software development house, and iPhone is very well known for its security, but still, for a few months, WhatsApp was a black hole. You can penetrate iPhone through the WhatsApp application. And I think the security measurement that is currently used in Apple App Store and Play Store are not applicable as is to the vehicle. Okay, and the whole automotive software life cycle, which only now we see it with Tesla and maybe with NIO and some other newcomers. We are only experimenting that. I wouldn't. I know you are a very satisfied Tesla user, okay? But Tesla is not necessarily known for its security and safety, okay?
I'm a satisfied Tesla tester and not a user. I got the Tesla just for testing it, but that's a different story.
I don't think that Volkswagen would call the Tesla ADAS solution autopilot, okay? Or fully automated, okay. So Tesla is the first one to experiment software development inside the vehicle. And of course, they have their own security protocols, but I don't think we are there yet. It's something, and you cannot just cut and paste web-based security methodologies and apply it to vehicles and hope for the best. Okay, you need to do something more tailored for the automotive space, and this was not really done yet. Okay, maybe Tesla is doing some of it, maybe others are doing, but this is ongoing effort. And I think one of the mistakes also for Volkswagen, you know, with the Volkswagen OS, they basically say, okay, we don't want Google Automotive, Android Automotive, we will write our own, but still, it's the same. We have stores, we have embedded app, it's the same. And I think the automotive software industry will need to develop its own methodology for security, and I believe it will require offline security measures like you provide, and online security management like Argos and others are providing. And still there will be recalls, okay? On the software side, on the hardware side, of course. But this is the new brave world, and I think us entrepreneurs will have plenty of work in this new world.
Absolutely agree. Any more questions?
Well, that was an excellent finishing sentence, no?
Yeah, fantastic. No, it has been quite exciting, insightful conversation. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I could see emotions on everybody's faces about the automotive security. I think this is going to be a very interesting subject in the coming years. Again, really appreciate everybody's time today, and obviously thanks a lot for the insights that you have shared. Thanks a lot for the feedback and comments that you offered on Luchs Security solution. Thanks to Tom and Alon for answering all the questions and moderating the panel so well. I think this is not the end of this conversation or this relationship, I should say. This is just the beginning. I think in the next few weeks, we should try to find a time to reconnect with each other and see how we can help, collaborate, support each other's initiatives. Again, really appreciate everybody's time today, and let's reconnect soon to find synergies. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful day.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting.